Welcome everyone to another session of the Product Management View webinar series. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, product management professionals can pick up the latest in thought leadership, tips, and tricks. Steve Rankel is the first-generation Austrian-American. The last 3 generations of his family have started and run 15 profitable companies in the U.S., Europe, and Canada. Steve Rankel has been involved in 6 turnarounds and has some war stories and lessons he'll share with us today. Steve's most recent project was the turnaround of one of Dictaphone's key product lines, which was part of the foundation for the successful $350 million sale of the company. He was formerly a senior PM at Dictaphone and responsible for multiple product lines and markets. Steve, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. I usually like to start off my conversations when you hear stories like that or comments like that about people and they say, oh, they were involved in this or they were involved in that. I think, it's kind of like saying, I stood in a parking lot, so it made me a car. So I encourage you to enjoy the session and reserve your thinking about what I've done to the end. But my goal is really to share with you some of the war stories that have happened and some of the fortunate things and the less fortunate things, and leave you with some things that will really help you. So let's get started. What's a product manager? I don't know how many folks are on the phone right now who are product managers or how many are leaders of product managers. But either way, you know that product management's a difficult job. A friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, Val Koha, said once that product managers are very hard to find, and they are the hardest job in any company. Now, this comes from a man who commuted 50 weeks a year, every week except for 2 weeks that he took vacation, from Boston, where he resides with his family of 6, to Santa Barbara, California, and oversaw a company that had a $9 billion market cap after its IPO. It was originally Phone.com and is now OpenWave, from which he just recently retired. So Val knows quite a bit about product management and product management in companies, and so I really appreciate his comment because I think he's dead on. So product managers are a combination of a visionary, guy with the binoculars. You're looking out ahead, and that's obviously hard to do with all the things we have going on a day-to-day basis. Secondly, a referee. I know you have team calls. I know you lead cross-functional teams, and you are the glue of those teams, probably one of the only people working with those teams that actually has a cross-company perspective, not just a departmental perspective. And obviously wrestling down issues and keeping the peace between the groups that have somewhat, at times, conflicting internal goals, although obviously everyone's goal is to ship a successful product. And then finally, a jack of all trades. This Swiss Army knife, this is probably a little bit of a lightweight Swiss Army knife compared to what most PMs have to do. You're in charge of documentation. You're in charge of specifications. You're in charge of understanding the market. You need to make sure your technical support and your customer service group's right. If you work for an industrial products company or any company that ships physical product other than software, you're probably responsible for supply chain. You're concerned about inventory. You're concerned about training the sales force and messaging and all manner of other things. And the reality of that is that product management's not an easy job. My goal for you today is very simple. If you're a product manager, I want you to think of yourself as a product. Too many times we get caught up in the business of what's going on in our company, and we're not thinking about what we can do to either improve ourselves, making ourselves more marketable, or improve our lives, and that's my second goal. My hope is that you take away one of 3 things from this webinar, and maybe all 3 things, and that is increase your value as a PM in the market. In other words, you need something distinctive that makes you different than everyone else, the same thing you're looking for in your products. The second, and if you lead people, you want them to have that same distinctiveness so you can add value to your business and all the goals that you have as a director or as a vice president. Second, something that increases your value to your current firm. And third, and not least importantly, something that increases your life satisfaction. And we'll talk more about that later on. So here's the story. I got a call in April of last year and said I was brought into Dictaphone to help be part of a turnaround of a small